has been deployed while we get that situation under control.
That is Sean Richardson, isn't it, Lockie?
It is Sean Richardson.
Feel sorry for him. He got up to position 10 for the last race. He was thrilled to bits about that, I know, and unfortunately now he's out of the race.
We knew it was going to be a hot contest in this race, didn't we?
I said that. It was warming up, yes.
Maybe not quite
it's
so
nearly
hot.
a scorcher, really.
You can tell it's getting late on Sunday afternoon in the AMRS round. All of the corny puns coming out.
Yeah.
So he's just gone straight on there as well. So clearly he's had a mechanical problem of some sort and he's just decided to go straight ahead at turn number 1 rather than trying to make the corner. It's always, they're removing the bonnet, which is always a bit of a spooky thing for the fire marshals to do when you've got a car on fire, because often all that happens when you open the bonnet is that it feeds more oxygen into the flames and the fire actually gets worse.
It makes it burn properly, yes. But I think he reached in to pull the pin from my observation. I think when he did that, all that smoke had actually been from the fire retardant that's gone onto the motor and the exhaust.
Might be a bit of a clean-up job for him then before we get to the next round.
We had that after race 2 with Mark Crutch's car. It was covered in fire retardant and it was very, very hard to get off. And of course, when it gets hot, it puts out this ungodly smell. So it takes a while to clear the car of it all, a couple of rounds probably to get the smell out of the cars.
So while we've got this bit of a break under the safety car, final round for you guys at Queensland Raceway.
Yep.
I think that's end of October, beginning of November. What sort of field do you think you'll get there? Because obviously that track is the birthplace of TO2 in Australia.
It is, and I could honestly see a field 38.
Wow.
And I think that's quite achievable, because the cars are actually on the ground now. I know there's a new Mustang coming. I was speaking to people yesterday. They're going to make a debut of their car at Queensland Raceway on Wednesday, I believe. And it's number 17 Mustang, and it looks fantastic. It's pretty blue and silver. So that's another Mustang coming into the fold.
Number 17, can you give us any hints as to who the driver might be?
I'd rather not, because I think they want it as a big surprise for their release. So I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, keep an eye on Facebook, because I think it'll be, it's a beautiful, I've seen it, it's a nice looking car.
Can't wait for that. Number 17 on a Mustang. There's a certain number 17 Mustang that's having a lot of success in a certain other form of
how did he do it?
At the moment.
How did they steal the 17? I thought someone would have had that very early in the piece.
Also, just noticed on the timing screen as well that George Elliott, after that big off-track excursion that he had at turn 1, hasn't actually made the start of this race. Do we know if there was any damage to his car as a result of that incident?
I didn't get down to that end of the pits during the break, but I'm not sure. But obviously, he's got some damage that needs a big job done on it. I know with Mark Crutch's car too, it's got a slightly bent chassis underneath it, and he said it's when he came back onto the track, he crossed over the ripple strip and it hit the chassis rail, made a big bang. So we might have a bit of work to do over the next couple of weeks to sort that out at home.
Good that you do have a bit of a break before the next round, that is for sure. We are under safety car conditions here at Sydney Motorsport Park for race number 4 for the TO2 Muscle Car Series. For those of you tuning in on the live stream, we've still got the final Formula 3 race coming up for you this afternoon. That will be over 18 laps. A piece of history on the line for John Magro, if they can chalk up another race win in that one. For those of you trackside here at Sydney Motorsport Park, we've still got the final races of the weekend coming up for the stock cars and for the utes and saloon cars as well.
Lucky, whilst that fire was happening, it looks like somehow Hugh McAllister's got the jump on Ashley Jarvis, and he's actually moved up into 4th place, and Ashley's back in 5th. So we must have missed that whilst they were recording filming the fire down the bottom of the track.
Well spotted there, and not surprising to see you spotting good moves being made by the cars that are part of your team.
If I couldn't make that spot, I should give it up probably. Also, just a reminder of the last 2 rounds of the AMRS for 2019. So we do have round number 5 coming up on the 18th, 19th and 20th of October. That's at Wakefield Park. So that's the weekend in between the Bathurst and Gold Coast Supercar events. So that's something to keep you entertained in between those 2 race meetings. Round number 6
the final round of TO2. No, sorry, not TO2, AMRS, I should say. Winton Motor Raceway, the 15th, 16th and 17th of November. We'll have the Thunder Sports cars back on the program for that one. GT1 Australia joining us at that round, and a few local Victorian categories as well. That should be a good fun way to finish up the season. Back where it all started at the nation's action track, Winton Motor Raceway. So they're the final 2 rounds of the AMRS for 2019. Won't be too long before we announce our AMRS calendar for 2020 as well. So stay tuned to our website and our social media channels for news on that. They've got Sean Richardson's car onto the tilt tray, so good job from our recovery crews, and hopefully they can get that out of harm's way and we can go back to racing at the end of this lap.
So it's about to start this lap, we'll be on for sure. Now the cars have had a chance to cool down and they want to get together a bit better, so it makes the race more exciting. We've got 6 laps to go, I believe, so that should be fast and furious.
The safety car restart will be pretty important here, I would imagine. We saw that race number 1 finished under safety car conditions as a result of the incident for Mark Crutcher. So it's been the first time this weekend the drivers actually had to deal with the safety car restart. The key thing here, no overlapping or overtaking before you get to the start-finish line. And we're not going to have a safety car restart this time around because the lights are still on the safety car. So we'll do one more lap under yellow flag conditions.
In my experience, it's sometimes quite good to have in the middle of a race, have a safety car rest, catch your breath and get ready to finish hard. But when you're in the thick of it and you're actually up the front doing well, you don't want them to stop, but it's often quite a good reprieve.
In the previous round of Winton, Macca, just to expand on that point about having the opportunity to have a rest during a race, we saw a longer distance race at Winton. Any plans, do we think, looking into 2020 to maybe have some more longer distance races?
I think really, if you understand the way these cars have been built, they've been made to run 1 hour races. The fuel tank's the right size, the tyres will last that long, and all we have to do is get the drivers to last that long, I suppose. But in America, it's quite common to run a 1 hour race in TA2. And you know, one of the things that I think we've spoken about it before, actually, Lockie, is that when you get a race that long in these cars, you're not allowed to refuel anywhere. There's no pit stops. So it's tyre conservation, fuel conservation. You know, we've had one of the American drivers out here earlier, and he was telling us, you know, how it pays to hang back a bit and hang around the top 10 for the first half of the race and then put the pressure on. He seems to think that's the best theory, and he's won quite a lot of races. So yeah, it would make it a lot more interesting if we had 1 hour races and bring the fuel and the tyre conservation into the race. So yeah, it's just not about getting as fast as you can. You've got to think about everything else as you're going.
The other thing as well that we saw at Winton was a top 10 shootout, which I thought was pretty cool. What was the feedback from the drivers on doing the 1 lap shootout?
I think the guys who were in it absolutely enjoyed it. I know you and I commentating thought it was great. I guess the other guys miss out, that's all. And when you've got such a big field, if we've got 35 or 40 cars next year, you know, it's a long time to sit out and just watch the top 10 do their thing. And it gives the top 10, I reckon, an advantage for the race.
Yeah, I will have to say that the competition just to get into the top 10 shootout was just as exciting as the shootout itself.
I suppose on the other side, they get to wear their tyres out a bit more to give the other guys a bit of a crack at it. But yeah, there's definitely for and against it.
So we've got the lights out on the safety car, so we will go racing this time around in the final race of the weekend for the TA2 Muscle Car Series. We'll have 5 laps remaining when they come across the start-finish line, and it will be up to Aaron Seaton, the race leader, to judge the pace of this restart. So the safety cars in pit lane, the field are on their way down to the control line. Aaron Seaton sees the green flag and he accelerates away. The TA2 cars thunder their way down the main straight here at Sydney Motorsport Park. We look to make sure that everybody's behaving themselves off this restart, and it looks like everybody's done a good job. No passing or overtaking or overlapping before the start-finish line. Well done, everyone. down to turn number 2, and Tim Shaw having a look down the inside to try and make a late move under brakes. He had to back out of that one, or he would have made contact with Tim Tritton, who was in the car just ahead. Oh, Aaron Seaton getting the tail out as he headed into turn number 5. You could see the rear end of his Mustang sliding around. It just goes to show how much work the tyres on these cars have done this weekend. Drivers really getting physical with them now.
So our prediction on tyre life is pretty right, so that actually brings it back to the field. And as the tyres wear out, it makes it a lot, it actually evens things up quite a bit.
One of the strengths of George Meadicke, with the experience that he's had in all different types of race cars, is that he does know how to look after the tyres, and he's up behind Nathan Hearn. We know that Hearn has quite an aggressive sort of driving style. It looks spectacular and it's fast. It's possibly not quite as good to the tyres though as some of the drivers who have a smoother technique. And Hugh McAllister's pulled clear of Ashley Jarvis, and Jarvis is under pressure from Michael Coulter, and Christopher Moses spins. Oh, and we've also lost the car of Craig Vanderstelt. That's in a very awkward position coming out of turn number 18, the final corner. Formosa was the first one to go, and I think Vanderstelt might have been taking evasive action. They have to be careful not to reverse into each other here as they do 3-point turns to try and rejoin the racetrack.
I was holding my breath as they both backed out. I thought this will be on. Anyway, and that would have certainly brought out a pace car. Let's hope they get running again. We don't have another pace car.
Both of them have managed to get running again, thankfully, but that's a shame for Formosa because he had worked his way up into the top 10. Wonder if that was the case there of just getting on the power a bit too hard too early coming out of that last corner and losing the rear.
I suppose it gets back to tyres and accelerator, doesn't it?
And we've had a change in second position, so George Meadicke got ahead of Nathan Hearn, but Hearn fights back on the inside heading up the hill. So a couple of positional swaps between our second and third place drivers.
That looked to me like George actually readdressed that, and maybe he did take him on turn 2 down there too aggressively, and I think it looked to me like he let him back past. Would you agree?
It did look that way, didn't it?
Yes.
So might be a bit more to that story. Michael Coulter's made it ahead of Ashley Jarvis as well, so Michael Coulter up into the top 5, having his best run of the weekend.
Michael's only a novice in this, but he's certainly not a novice racer. He's driven a NASCAR ute for quite a few years, and he knows this track backwards. Him and his dad.
I reckon that George Meadicke's got a problem because he's going to be passed by Hugh McAllister down the main straight.
So
side by side.
Whatever he did, he got past and spent it all by the look of it.
I wonder if George Meadicke has a gearbox problem or something like that that's compromising his straight line speed, because that was a very easy move that Hugh McAllister made. And this has championship implications. Remember, George Meadicke second in the points behind Aaron Seaton. He cannot afford to lose too many more positions, or Aaron Seaton will open up a sizable advantage heading to the final round at QR.
Hugh's moving away from him quite easily, and I'd say Michael Coulter's moving up on him quite easily. So, yes, we've only 3 laps to go. It should be very interesting in the closing stages of this race.
So maybe George Meadicke wasn't redressing. Maybe it's some other problem that he's encountered.
It's called divine intervention.
Just after getting ahead of Nathan Hearn. So there'll be more to that story, that's for sure. But you'd have to be pretty happy, Macca, because your son's now inside the top 3.
Very pleased with the way he's come on with his driving. It's only really his second proper season. Whilst it was not too bad in go-karts, it was too large to be successful go-karter, so he took up rugby instead, and he's taken to this like a duck to water. But it looks like George has got going. Hughes had a loss.
So this is a replay of what happened to Christopher Formosa.
Oh, right. Okay.
So Formosa lost the rear of the car coming out of the final corner. Craig Vanderstelt was the one immediately behind. Vanderstelt just had nowhere to go in that incident there. He had to jump on the brakes to avoid T-boning Formosa's Dodge Challenger. And then we had this awkward moment where they both almost reversed into each other trying to get going again.
See, those South Australians are very polite. Pulled out of it so he didn't run into him, and then he damn near backed into him, so that was good.
And here is George Madicki defending from Michael Coulter. So clearly, Madicki experiencing problem. Last lap through for George Madicki was 1 minute 41.6. That's 4 seconds slower than the fastest lap time that he's achieved so far in this race. And he will lose more spots here, and the problem for him is
Michael's just made the move around him down there into turn 5.
Yeah, it's a big train of cars forming up behind George Madicki. He's trying to defend. He's doing his best trying to hold those cars back. How long can he resist for? Not long is the answer to that question, because Michael Coulter goes up the inside at turn number 6. And I do reckon that it must be a gearbox issue, because the car seems to be okay in some parts of the track, but not okay in others.
I think that's a great observation, Lockie. I'd say it's probably stuck in third gear. Mate.
Out of all of the gears that you could choose to be stuck in, third's probably the least worst.
Well, good and bad. At least you got some sort of speed down the straight, but you'd be a bit doughy through the corners, I'd imagine. I know Matthew McCollum will take great pleasure in passing him if he can.
So we are now beginning the last lap as well, incidentally. So Aaron Season now leads the race by 3.1 seconds over Nathan Hearn.
Michael Coolidge is about to pass George as well.
So how many more positions is Madicki going to lose before we get to the end of this race? He's fallen back to position 8. Now, one of the other interesting things is that one of the cars behind him is actually his father, Andrew Madicki. Knowing the championship situation, will Andrew just sit behind him maybe for this final lap?
He could actually push him along if it gets that bad.
Ashley Jarvis's car really starting to slide around as well. He's obviously run out of tyres.
Yeah, I think Ashley spent his tyres. Ashley's a very hard trier, and I think he really tried hard in that race and went early and burned the tyres up early.
Christopher Formosa putting a pass on the outside of Craig Scatella at turn 2. Mark Crutcher involved in that battle as well.
Mark looks like he's made a move to pass on the inside. No, he's got his nose cut off nearly.
And checkered flag at the ready. It's a clean sweep for Aaron Season. His 12th race victory of the season in the TA2 Muscle Car Series at Sydney Motorsport Park. And with the dramas for George Madicki in this final race, he will open up a sizable championship advantage heading to the final round at Queensland Raceway. Nathan Hearn finishes second. Hugh McAllister comes home third. Michael Coulter, really good performance for him, finishing up in 4th position. Drag race to the line. Ashley Jarvis just holding out Murray Kent. And Michael Cooley getting ahead of Matt McKeldin as well on that last lap. And as we predicted, George Madicki finishing just ahead of his father, Andrew Madicki. They come home in positions 9 and 10.
That was a race full of all sorts of excitement, wasn't it?
Certainly was. Safety car restart when you have the field bunched up. It certainly compresses the field and creates more passing opportunities. And that's exactly what happened. Still battles going on up and down the field. Darren Berry was quite slow there coming out of the last corner, and he got beaten across the line by both Christopher Formosa and Don Demetriadis. So Darren Berry gets relegated back to 19th position there. Bill Robinson in 20th spot. Then it's Mark Crutcher, Craig Scatella, back to Greg Willis. Craig Vanderstelt in 24th position. Paul Hanley finishing up in position 25. We go back then to David Falvey in 26th position, and it will be Jack Childs who will round out our finishers.
It's good to see Jack actually finish that race. He's been battling away he's had a couple of offs, and Jack's learning the trade quite well, and he's actually finished that race. Good on him.
And thank you for your company as well this weekend, Macca. Always a pleasure to have you in the commentary box, and unfortunately I won't be at your last round up at Queensland Raceway, but hopefully that all goes well too.
Thank you, Lockie. It's a pleasure to be in the box with you. I admire the knowledge that you show and the knowledge that you have about all the drivers in all the classes is absolutely amazing. I couldn't possibly imagine myself being able to do it as well as you can.
Oh, thank you. There we go. So that completes the TA2 muscle car action here at Sydney Motorsport Park. We'll grab a break here in commentary. Still got on the live stream the Formula 3 race coming your way. For those of you trackside stock cars on the program next.
The Australian Moto Series is essentially born from the Benella Auto Club's interest in being able to deliver some good, cost-effective motorsport. Essentially, the series is born from that. And when I say born, like there's two, if not three categories which are born from the AMRS and who are massively successful today. And that being TA2, we've got a field of nearly 30 TA2s here today. We've got RX8s, which essentially is born through AMRS. It's a real sort of launching ground for these categories to be able to build and develop and then put on some good, healthy grids. We're already working well into 2020. I've spent a lot of time, particularly in the last few weeks, putting together our plans for what next year brings. So 2020 will bring, again, all the normal sort of circuits. Obviously our home tracks, Winton and Wakefield will be on the calendar. We're at Morgan Park, we're at the Bend, we're at QR, Queensland Raceway, obviously back here at SMP. So it's going to be a travelling series of 6 or 7 rounds, and there'll be some categories which will commit to all the series, and then there'll be other categories which will be more probably local ones in each state that will come and essentially put on some of their local talent, be it state-based or club-based. From my perspective, we're only acting on the demand of the competitors. We're acting on what competitors are saying that they want to do. They don't want to be involved in race series where they get pushed from pillar to post, and if the rock stars of that particular race meeting have oil downs or crashes and things, then their race gets affected, the customer gets affected. Everyone's got their agreements as far as how much track time they're going to get. We absolutely do our best to deliver it. My goal is that we've got to keep growing the series, growing in a number of different areas, and particularly around the commercial side. Already this week I've done some immediate improvements on marketing. We're all about returning some value back to the competitors, so what can we do at events which attracts more competitors, categories as a whole, of course, but even competitors in those categories to be able to want to come along or to potentially travel interstate or whatever it may be. So development of the series into a more high calibre sort of professional series, but not at that high calibre professional cost. Probably one of the main things we need to just be conscious of is if there's categories out there that are looking somewhere where they just want to go to that next level, then like get in contact with us. Like, you know, we're happy to have a discussion. You know, we travel nationally. We're in every state. Please get in touch. Our website amrseries.com.au. Get in touch through the contact links that way, and happy to have a chat.
Record we got this year was at round 1 at Winton Motorsport Park, and yeah, it's an outright lap record. We had good conditions, and we made a few little changes to the car, and the car was so dialed. It was awesome holding on for those, pushing for those laps in the race. I still had to be careful because it's still a race, and I was in the lead of a race, so you don't want to throw it off the track. Same with the bend. We had good weather for lap records, and managed to break the lap record in race 1, and then race 2 I dropped that record again, and race 3 we dropped it again. So yeah, it's been a really good run so far. Race 1 this afternoon, it's probably going to be a bit too warm. Nice sunny days here, which we got nice weather, but unfortunately it's not the best thing for lap records. So hopefully maybe tomorrow morning we'll get a little bit of cloud cover, drop the track temperature a bit, and it'll just help us get a bit more grip. With the track temp at the moment, it's a little too high, and it just feels greasy. So, it's pretty easy to drop off a second a lap just with the track temperature. So there's another record which Ben Klukas set back in, I think it was 2006, and that was, I believe it was 12 race wins in a row. So if I can win every race this weekend, we'll tie that record. And yeah, it'd be great to get that one, and but you just got to take it race at a time, and get a good start and optimise that. The team have done an awesome job with the car. We worked on our qualifying setup yesterday in practice, and I did think we'd have a little more grip today. Well, I was hoping for a little more grip today. So our car setup wasn't 100%, but it was good enough to get us on pole, and couldn't be happier.
The Australian Moto Series is essentially born from the Benella Auto Club.
This season's gone really well so far in the Castrol Harris Racing Mustang. I've really enjoyed the close racing that we've had with both George, Nathan and the whole category. Yeah, it's been really exciting. Obviously, each time I go out I'm learning and developing as a driver, so that's been very helpful, and having the pressure there, and it's been really good. So I'm looking forward to the last 2 rounds here in Sydney, and then obviously QR as well.
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster. I came in probably not naive, but expecting to be a bit faster off the bat, and to see the fight that Aaron put up, right from the word go was cool. It's been a real. I've had to dig deep this year and had to go back and look at my own driving. I spent a day up with Paul Morris and Robbo up at Norwell the other day, just working on myself, trying to get myself a bit faster, and that's what it's come down to. It's tough. We are both on the edge, driving as fast as we can every lap, which is cool. So I couldn't have asked for more.
Yeah, it's quite close between me and George. We've kept it consistent throughout the year, so it's only 16 points between us in the championship, but I'm just really excited for these last 2 rounds. Obviously, it's going to be good, hard, close racing, and yeah, we've kept it clean all year, and hopefully we can do that the same the last 2 rounds and just be consistent and do our best and see where we end up at the end of the series.
There's no quarter asked and no quarter given. I reckon is probably the way it's going to go. Look, I love racing with Aaron. He's a good driver. He's a real talent, bit of a gentleman. So we enjoy that side of it. But I tell you what, both of us are going to be putting pressure on each other. I think that's the name of the game, is to be as fast as you possibly can be and make the other guy nervous. And the best man will win, which is cool. So just taking it one race at a time. We've got 8 races, so there's only 2 rounds, but there's 8 races across that, and the lead in the championship is less than half of a race. So there's a lot to play for, and I mean business. It's win it or bin it for me. So you've got to go and get that ring. That's what it's all about. And look, if I don't get it, the best man won. So we'll see.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GT1 presentations for AMRS round 4. Three for you, I beg your pardon, sorry. So guys, thanks to you so much once again on behalf of team at BAC and AMRS for coming along and supporting this event. It's been fantastic to have you all here. What a feature to have these cars running around the track. We've really enjoyed having you here this weekend. So we'll get straight into presentations. So our invited category being Porsche Challenge, Lachlan Harburg. Porsche's rule the world, that's right, says Johnny Ross. Lachlan, would you like to say a few words?
Oh, thanks, guys. It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird coming last and still getting a trophy, but I'll take it. It was good racing with you guys. Yeah, you're all out there. You're pretty quick, I got to say. But yeah, it was a good weekend, and thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, we'll get straight into the Mark cars and what fantastic cars they look and sound like going down the main straights. Third place, Tony Groves. Well done. Second place, Bailey Hall. Well done. And first in Mark cars is John Goodacre. Well done, John. John would like to say a few words.
Sure. Jagged it again.
That's right.
No, the last race was really tough in our car, like we just had no grip. The weekend was fantastic though. The track's really challenging. I find with the tyre grip and stuff around here, it's really hard. Everyone was struggling with it. I know it was a great weekend, yeah. Thanks for everyone who racing with us, it was really good. Thanks for the young kids coming along. He's done a great job, Bailey. So, yeah, well done everyone. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you. You just get you together there for a photo. In front of the sign there.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Okay, now for our outright. So, third is
The first record we got this year was at round 1 at Winton Motorsport Park, and yeah, it's an outright lap record. We had good conditions, and we made a few little changes to the car, and the car was so dialed. It was awesome holding on for those, pushing for those laps in the race. I still had to be careful because it's still a race, and I was in the lead of a race, so you don't want to throw it off the track. Same with the bend. We had good weather for lap records, and managed to break the lap record in race 1. And then race 2, I dropped that record again, and race 3, we dropped it again. So, yeah, it's been a really good run so far. Race 1 this afternoon, it's probably going to be a bit too warm. Nice sunny days here, which, we got nice weather, but unfortunately it's not the best thing for lap records. So hopefully, maybe tomorrow morning we'll get a little bit of cloud cover, drop the track temperature a bit, and it'll just help us get a bit more grip. With the track temp at the moment, it's a little too high, and it just feels greasy. So, it's pretty easy to drop off a second a lap just with the track temperature. So there's another record which Ben Klukas set back in, I think it was 2006, and that was, I believe it was 12 race wins in a row. So if I can win every race this weekend, will tie that record. And yeah, it'd be great to get that one. And but you just got to take it race at a time, and get a good start, and optimise that. The team have done an awesome job with the car. We worked on our qualifying setup yesterday in practice, and I did think we'd have a little more grip today. Well, I was hoping for a little more grip today. So our car setup wasn't 100%, but it was good enough to get us on pole, and couldn't be happier.
This season,
so yeah, hopefully we get second gear and we get away, and hopefully we can collect a whole lot more points and
Welcome back, everybody, to Sydney Motorsport Park, round number 4 of the 2019 Australian Motor Racing Series. Hope you've enjoyed all of the action on the live stream. Thanks to Blendline TV. We've got the final race for the Australian Formula 3 Championship coming your way right now. And some history on the line for John Magro, who will start this race on pole position. He's won the first 11 races of this season. If he can extend the winning streak by one more, make it 12 race wins in a row, he will equal the record for most consecutive race victories in Australian Formula 3 Championship history. It's a record that stood since 2006, and it's currently held by English driver Ben Clucas, who was the Formula 3 champion back in 2006. It's Emily Duggan and Lockie Mansell behind the microphone with you for this race, final one of the weekend for the Australian Formula 3 cars. And Em, there's nothing like Aussies taking some bragging rights away from the English. So I'd quite like to see John Magro equal the record this afternoon and then hopefully beat it in the next round as well.
Certainly. I love that he has the opportunity to beat it, but then also extend it as well and do one better. Do you reckon he thought about this record coming into the first race for this season?
I don't reckon he thought about it coming into the first race for this season, but I do think he probably started thinking about it coming into this weekend, because we were talking about it a fair bit in the lead up to this weekend. He really has been the class of the field this season. We've seen that at the tracks that we've been to, he's had some really comprehensive race wins. Probably the round where he was challenged most closely was at Morgan Park, where Richard Peasy, who was driving one of the Gilmore Racing entries that weekend, managed to get ahead of him and stay ahead of him for a couple of the races that weekend. But at the Bend, and so far this weekend at Sydney Motorsport Park, he has been utterly dominant.
Very much so. The next contender is Josh in second place, and unfortunately for Josh, John has just absolutely driven away from the field. So it'll be interesting to see how the start is for this next race and see what happens coming into turn 1 and turn 2.
So John Magro on pole position for this race. Josh Buchan once again will line up alongside him on the front row of the grid. One of the things that we saw in the previous race was Gerard Ruff in the national class led all the way, but then his car ground to a halt on the second last lap, and he was a non-finisher, and that was potentially a pretty costly DNF for Gerard Ruff, given the tight points position between him and Roman Krubens in the national class title contest. But he is back out there, that's the good news. And the grid positions for this race are going to be determined based on the second fastest lap time achieved by each driver in qualifying.
Oh wow, I've never heard of that being done before.
So what it meant was that in qualifying yesterday, everybody had to go out and try and do not just one, but 2 fast laps.
Wow, what an experience, having to say, yep, that was my fastest. Now I've got to do that twice.
Exactly right.
Was anyone able to match their times and do really fast times twice in a row, or what was the difference?
Well, both John Magro and Josh Buchan managed to do laps that were only a tenth of a second apart. So John Magro, the pole time was 1 minute 23.3. His second fastest time was at 23.4. Josh Buchan, 24.3. Second fastest time, 24.4. Riley Brook, a 25.5 and a 26.2. Gerard Ruff, our pole sitter for the national class, a 26.2 and a 26.7. So again, it's certainly the drivers at the front of the field who were able to punch out really consistent lap times with not much separating their fastest and second fastest times.
Yeah, definitely. That's the sign of a good driver, when they can kind of match what they've just done. As they line up on the grid after they've done their warm-up lap, ready to go for race 3.
So Magro, Buchan, Brook and Ruff the top 4. Then it's Ryan Astley back to Andrew Roberts. Roman Krumens ahead of Shane Wilson and Ross McAlpine. Ross McAlpine in the second of the Gulls in the field. Set for a race start here as we get set for the final of the weekend in the Australian Formula 3 Championship. Beautiful start from John Magro. Good start from Gerard Ruff once again, and he will go side by side with Josh Buchan on the run down into turn 1 and will take second position. Buchan wants to argue though on the outside. Brilliant start from Gerard Ruff. He'll be well positioned on the inside of Buchan when they get to turn 2. Buchan trying to hang tough around the outside though, as they manage to sort themselves out as they head up into turn 3. Oh no, we've got a problem off the line for one of the cars, which is riding to a halt just beside the pit lane wall, and that would be a job for the recovery crews to retrieve, and that, unfortunately, I'm afraid looks like the car of Andrew Roberts, who's had all sorts of problems this weekend, and it's going to be a safety car situation while they get that car removed from the circuit.
Now, Lockie, I'm wondering, I know that when they did the warm-up lap for the race 1 earlier today, there was a car that was stopped in the middle of on the inside of turn 2. Did they get that car back out?
So that was Andrew Roberts.
Which has just stopped now.
In answer to your question, yes,
yes,
they
but
did get
no.
it back out, but it didn't make it very far.
Oh, what a terrible weekend to come out for race 3 after not even making the grid for race 2, thinking that he's got a chance to redeem himself for race 3, to only then be stopped a couple of metres after starting the race.
The officials have actually jumped over the wall with the jump start pack, so what they're going to try and do is get that car fired up again. One of the things with these Formula 3 cars, Emily, is that they only have very small onboard batteries. So what that means is that if you stall the car on the start line, for example, you only generally get one shot at restarting it, because there's only enough charge in the battery for one go at firing the starter motor, and then the battery goes flat.
Yeah, wow, that's very interesting. So I wonder if that's what happened here, or if there is something else.
So the order behind the safety car, it's John Magro, Garrett Ruff, Josh Buchan, back to Riley Brooks, Shane Wilson, Ryan Astley and Roman Krubens, Ross McAlpine, the other car that has not even made it onto the starting grid for this race. Now, just having a look at the car as it gets started back in. Apologies, because it's not actually Andrew Roberts, it's Ross McAlpine. So Andrew Roberts didn't make it back out onto the track. Ross McAlpine is the car that actually ground to a halt there on the start-finish line. The view was obscured from our commentary box, and the timing screens were giving us the wrong information, so we do apologise for that. But anyway, Ross McAlpine's car has been retrieved to a safe position, and that unfortunately will be his day done.
Yeah, that's a tough call for a driver to be on the grid, ready to start, and then, oh, no, keeps going.
So they've managed to get the car fired up, obviously, with that jump start pack. They got enough charge into the battery before he's fired the car. So he's got going again, and yeah, the only problem...
He needs to make it up to the safety car where everyone else is, so he can bunch up.
But he's already been lapped as well.
Yes, correct. However, he can score some valuable points.
That is true.
It'll be interesting for this restart to see if John can hold off the back of the pack.
John
can hold off.
Yes.
Yes.
Indeed.
For a safety car restart, it's always really exciting.
So lights are out on the safety car, so we will have a restart this time around. Tyres will have lost a bit of temperature under this safety car situation. They do tend to be quite tyre sensitive, these F3 cars. Fastest lap that we've seen in race conditions so far this weekend, 1:24.0, which was achieved by John Magro in race number 2. And he's already got the foot down as they exit turn number 18, the final corner. So back underway. And look at the margin that John Magro's already stretched. He's actually weaving around as they get down to the control line, trying to generate some tyre temperature. So that just shows you how much those tyres will have cooled out. That weaving actually allowed Garrett Ruff to close up. This is about the closest anyone's been to John Magro all weekend. Buchan looking up the inside of Garrett Ruff into turn 2. Not quite able to get the job done there. Those two cars not battling for class positions, because they're both in separate classes, although obviously they are battling for outright track position. one of the things that you'll notice if you stand by the side of the track and listen to these cars as they come through is that when they upshift, it sounds like they have a shift cut, and that's because they do. So you can hear a bit of a pop, a bit like what you hear in a V8 supercar when you shift up. So what happens is that they do have a gear lever. As they pull the gear lever to select the next gear, simultaneously there's a paddle behind the steering wheel that they click, and that activates the shift cut.
Oh wow, I didn't know that about these cars.
So they're not paddle shift.
It's a bit of both.
It's a
You
bit of
got
both,
a combination of paddle shift and sequential. What happens if you don't do it simultaneously?
Then the shift cut activates at the wrong time, and the gear probably has a bit of trouble engaging properly.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Josh Buchan gets a nice tow from Garrett Ruff as they head down into turn number 1. He makes the move through on the inside. Fairly easy pass there for the Gilmore Racing driver. And Garrett Ruff will now be vulnerable to Riley Brook.
And John has just absolutely driven away from the field. Oh, not as much as what that gap looks like. It's a 1.5 second gap. Looks a little bit bigger on TV.
Interesting to see what sorts of lap times Josh Buchan can do in this race now that he's had some more laps around Sydney Motorsport Park in the Formula 3 car. You have to say, coming into this season, it was always going to be a bit of a tough one. Josh Buchan having to go up against a driver who's already had lots and lots of experience in these Formula 3 cars. And not only that, John Magro's also raced in Formula Ford. He's done some GT racing. So he has good experience in all different types of cars.
I know Josh has done some sort of open wheelers before.
Formula Ford.
Yep.
Yep.
So what's the difference between a Formula Ford and Formula 3?
Quite a lot. Probably the biggest difference is the aerodynamics, because Formula 3 cars have aero, Formula Fords don't. But also just the horsepower as well. Formula 3 cars are definitely more powerful than Formula Fords. And overall, F3 cars are just a lot faster than what Formula Fords are. Formula Ford's definitely a good stepping stone into Formula 3. And then you can use Formula 3 to launch into other categories that we've talked about, either open wheels or tip tops, depending on what sort of career direction you want to take. Probably worth mentioning as well that these cars in the Australian Formula 3 Championship, they're not the same as the ones that race in the International FIA Formula 3 Championship, where we saw that spectacular somersault crash for Alex Peroni at Monza. Did you see the footage of that crash, Emily?
No, I think I see the clip of the video, but never actually pressed on it. As a driver, there's some crashes that I don't think that I want to have vision of.
That's understandable, but basically there was a curve that Alex Peroni's car hit at an awkward angle at Monza in Italy, and it caused the car to go cartwheeling to a quite spectacular somersault. And unfortunately, that has meant that Alex Peroni has had to miss some F3 rounds due to the injuries that he sustained in that incident.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons that you don't really, as a driver, want to see many crashes. You don't want anyone to be hurt, but then also you don't want that to knock around your confidence as well.
So we go on lap number 7 at this stage. Fastest lap of the race for Josh Buchan last time through, 1 minute 25.7. Very close to John Magro in terms of lap times, as we see Riley Brook looking to try and get up the inside of Garrett Ruff. And turn number 2 not quite able to get the job done there. Once again, Roman Krubin's not as fast as perhaps we might have expected from him coming into the weekend. He's back behind Ryan Astley at the moment, running in what would be 4th position in the national class. No, sorry, it'll still be 3rd in the national class because Shane Wilson and Riley Brook are both in championship class cars. Riley Brook putting the pressure on Garrett Ruff. And the difference in performance between between the older and the newer cars. The slightly older cars, so the 07 and earlier cars, actually have a bit less downforce, so they can actually sometimes be a bit quicker in a straight line, and we've seen at tracks like Simmons Plains in Tasmania or Sandown where aero isn't so much of an issue, that the older model cars can actually hold their own against the newer machinery. But here at Sydney Motorsport Park, where you've got so much aero dependency, you definitely want to be in one of those newer model cars that does have the extra downforce. Here it goes, big centre turn 2 and contact. Loses some front body work as Riley Brook goes for the big move on the inside of Garrett Ruff at turn number 2. There was a rapidly diminishing hole in that corner. Wasn't able to get the car stopped before making contact. And unfortunately that's damaged the front wing for Riley Brook. Hopefully it hasn't done any damage to Garrett Ruff's car, although Garrett Ruff seems to be losing some performance as well. I wonder if it's punctured the tyre. It looks like it has. Looks like it might be a deflated left rear tyre for Garrett Ruff. With some of the sharp edges on the aerodynamic devices that these cars have, if you've got front wing to rear tyre contact, it can be very easy to cause punctures, and it looks like that's what might have happened. Wow.
It almost looked like the gap was certainly there, and the gap was there early on, but then he had a little quick look and thought, no, you're not going to take it, I'll close it. But unfortunately, it was just too late to do anything.
Wow, so this is another championship-changing moment in the national class. Garrett Ruff with a flat left rear tyre is going to have to limp back to the pits. He was leading the national class at the time, but he's going to surrender that lead, and he's going to surrender some more points to his title rival, Roman Krumans. Just unbelievable, this championship seesawing battle between Roman Krumans and Garrett Ruff in the national class, because at the rounds where Krumans has been quicker than Ruff, Krumans has been the one having problems. This weekend, Garrett Ruff's been quicker than Roman Krumans all weekend, but it's Garrett Ruff that's been involved in dramas.
Makes for an exciting battle for the championship.
And into the pits comes the car of Riley Brook as well, with that front end damage that we talked about. I can tell you, Emily, that definitely with corners like turn 1 and coming around Corporate Hill, you do not want to be missing half your front wing, because the car will be an understeering nightmare. So
that's what's so interesting about these cars, is that in tin top cars you can have a little bit of contact and nothing really happens.
Talk us through the replay.
So like I said, it looks like he went for the dive but didn't quite get enough down the inside to complete the pass, and the driver in the green car has kind of said, well, you won't take that, I'll take it, and clipped him.
And that is Garrett Ruff's day done. Steering wheel off, he's getting out of the car, so that's 2 DNFs out of the 3 races for him this weekend. Here's the slow-mo replay. He came from a long way back, didn't he,
Yeah.
Riley Brook? Do you think that Riley Brook could have been a bit more cautious, or do you think that Garrett Ruff could have left him more room? What's your take on the incident?
I think could have left him a little bit more room, but I mean, I've had people say that about me sometimes. It's one of those things, as a driver, you are so in the moment, you have an absolute split second to make a decision. And sometimes you just don't want to look in those rearview mirrors. So I understand both of the drivers and what they're going through right now.
Looks like they are going to get Garrett Ruff's car fixed. They've put another rear tyre on it, so
having a look now, he's gone down the inside, and he hasn't been able to get right in there for the driver of the green car to say, yep, you are there, you're taking this, and that's the result of it. Presence of mind and peripheral vision is so important in these cars, but remember, the peripheral vision, you can only have your helmet, you can only see out of that small space of your visor. So what you can see as a spectator or just as a normal person with no hat, no helmet on, is quite a big vision you have through the sides, but unfortunately with a helmet and everything, it restricts your vision.
And the rear view mirrors on these cars are pretty small as well. So
They're tiny.
They don't give you great rearward visibility either, or rearward vision. So it is tricky to understand when there's, or be aware of when there's a car coming down the inside. And that was the problem there for Garrett Ruff. They haven't given up though, so he's got back in the car. They're bolting a new tyre on it. For him, in terms of the championship, it's a case of getting out there and salvaging some points.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, and when you're pulling off moves like that, sometimes you don't want to be out and let the driver know, hey, you're going to take a dive down the inside. You want to kind of let them know in surprise. But if you are going to do that, you have to be further down and brake really, really late. Make sure that you pull the car up. And just at the last minute, you're in their eye vision, showing them that you're there and that they can't turn in. Where sometimes if you show them that you're going to do it heaps early, then they can easily just cover you and start moving in on the inside.
So I'll have 5 laps to go this time around for John Magro. The margin from first to second is 5.6 seconds. And on screen at the moment, that is the car of Shane Wilson. He's now up to third outright. Oh, we've got another drum now. Who's this? A car going very slowly out of turn number 12, the final corner now.
Who
it's
is
hard
that?
to pick up who that is because of the angle of the sunlight. I'm wondering if that's actually Ross McAlpine again. It is Ross McAlpine, and we can tell because it is the darker coloured car. So Ross McAlpine, the good news for him is that he's managed to get past the point of the circuit where it starts to become a downward slope, so hopefully he can select neutral and just coast on into the pits. So been a bit of a drum field race for Ross McAlpine. Stalled on the grid, got a restart, managed to get going again, worked his way up to 6th position, but now looks like he's going to be out of the race altogether.
Yeah, I wonder what's happened with that car. I don't see any damage on it or anything, and he wasn't around anyone to get any damage, so maybe it's just a mechanical problem that's hindered him at the start, and then continued and have that car moving slowly into pit lane.
So John Magro, your outright race leader by 7 seconds from Josh Buchan. Shane Wilson's up to 3rd position. Then we go back to Roman Krubens, who is now the leading national class competitor. Unbelievable when you think about the fact that he just hasn't quite had the pace this weekend, but he's still worked his way through into the lead of the national class. Ryan Astley second in the national class, and Garrett Ruff back out on the track with that left rear tyre replaced. He's 6th and he's still 3rd in the national class, so it was very important for that team to get that tyre replaced because there's still some big points on offer if they can come home in the top 3 in this race. So inside the final 3.5 laps. Minute 24.8, as mentioned, the best lap time for John Magro. So it's been pretty consistent in terms of his lap speed. A 24.2 yesterday in race 1, 24.0 this morning, and a 24.8 today on tyres that have obviously been on the car all weekend because you can only have one set of tyres for the weekend. And there is Ross McAlpine, who's managed to coast back into the pits. Game over for the New South Wales driver, who we see competing in a regular basis, or on a regular basis, in the Formula Race Car Championship here in New South Wales that runs between the Wakefield Park and the Sydney Motorsport Park circuits. John Magro, though, once again, just in a class of his own, steadily extending the margin over Josh Buchan. 8.5 seconds it is, with 2.5 laps remaining. I don't want to put the commentator's curse on it, Emily.
I know. I really hope you weren't going to say anything. I think I needed to intervene there. You've done that to me a few times, I think, or maybe once. I think I remember once when you started talking about me, and then I mysteriously came unstuck. And you put the commentator's curse on me.
That was in the XLs.
That was. Do you remember what race that was?
It might have been one of the sprint races at Wakefield. It might have been after you got pole, actually.
No, I think I did pretty good after all my poles. Whenever I got pole, I think I won the race.
I do seem to recall one race at Wakefield where you got pole and then spun at the first or the second corner though.
No, I don't remember that. I did watch a video the other day where I was. Oh no, that was pole. Yes, okay, no, I did watch. I did watch that race. I was going through some SD cards and found that. However, I only dropped back to fourth. I kept my boot into it, and being an Excel front-wheel drive, it stuffed everyone else up behind me because they didn't know what I was doing. Kept the boot into it, steered it where I want it, and off I went.
Shane Wilson on screen at the moment. He's worked his way up to third position outright in this race. Good performance from the Queenslander. Good to see that he's made the trip down to Sydney Motorsport Park this weekend. As mentioned before, sustained a bit of damage at Morgan Park a couple of rounds ago, but the car has since been fixed and he's running in a top 3 position at the moment. You're going to be off, Emily, to go and grab some words of wisdom from our top 3 finishers. And I bet she'll be looking forward to interviewing John Magro after this one. Second to last lap. Our drivers are now on. And it's a 10.7 second lead to John Magro. Ryan Astley in position number 5, second of our national class competitors. He's just punched out his personal best lap for the race, 1 minute 29.4. It's only a couple of seconds behind Roman Krubin, so he's done a good job once again. Ryan Astley, good to see these younger drivers who've come into Formula 3 this year, like Ryan Astley and Riley Brook, continuing to learn and improve. Obviously not the finish to the weekend that Riley Brook would have wanted with that contact with Garrett Ruff at turn 2. And he showed some pretty good pace in races 1 and 2 and also in qualifying yesterday. So final lap here for John Magro. Cairns-based mango farmer who has been a long-time competitor in the Australian Formula 3 Championship, had a play in some other categories as well. Decided to come back to Formula 3 this season to try and do what he hasn't been able to do so far and claim the championship crown. Driving for the Artec Motorsport team in the Mercedes-Benz powered Dallara F311. He has been an unstoppable force in season 2019. It started on a high note with an outright circuit lap record at Winton. He got 3 race wins there. He got 3 race wins in round 2 at Morgan Park. He got 3 race wins at the Bend. He gets another 3 race wins here at Sydney Motorsport Park. It's 12 race wins in a row. It's a place in Australian Formula 3 Championship history for John Magro. He equals the record for most consecutive race victories in Australian Formula 3 history. Josh Buchan comes across the line in second position. 12.5 seconds, the final margin from first to second. And it will be Shane Wilson, who we wait for to come home in position number 3. Good to see Shane Wilson up inside the top 3 outright. Here he comes out of the last corner now. And he will pick up the 3rd position. Roman Krumans in 4th outright. He will take the national class race victory in this race. Ryan Astley coming home in 2nd position within the national class. And Garrett Ruff had a bit of a rough time down at turn 2. But they've managed to put a new tyre on the car. They've managed to get him classified as a finisher. Valuable points in the bag. And preserves his championship contending position within the national class for the Australian Formula 3 Championship. So our top 3 cars making their way into the pits. Emily Duggan will be standing by to grab some words of wisdom with our top 3 finishers. It's John Magro on top for the round. And Josh Buchan comes in there as well and parks up in second position. And there is Shane Wilson coming through in third position. So a couple of moments' time, we'll be crossing down to Emily Duggan, who will be down with our top 3 finishers for the Australian Formula 3 Championship round number 4.
in.
I didn't know if we were on or what.
They look beautiful. Thank you, Bill. See you next time, man. This camera is actually
Okay, cool.
Won the race, but more importantly, you've just equaled the record of the most number of race wins, and you've got a chance to beat that. How does that feel?
Yeah, it's awesome. I can't thank the team enough for giving me, such a good package and a reliable car to be able to do that. Because there's so many things that can go wrong to, stop that happening. And yeah, it's awesome.
You raced awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Josh, I'll get you for a couple of words.
Yeah, sure.
Congratulations on P2. You dropped back a little bit on the start of the race. Explain the rest and how you got back up to P2.
Yeah, starts in these cars are pretty tricky, so I've generally struggled with them. But yeah, look, we had decent pace after race one. We've played a little bit with me and a little bit with the car, and found a bit of a window, and had good pace at the start. Just got a bit excited catching John, and made one or two errors, and that was pretty much it. Once you lose a couple of seconds on someone like him, you don't really find it back. But no, it was a good race. The car was really well. and yeah, happy to be P2.
Congratulations on P2, Josh.
Thank you.
Competitors, please note your presentation will be done at 4:30 near race control.
Congratulations, Wilson.
TA2 competitors, your presentation.
Congratulations on P3. That was a tough race. Explain how you got up to P3.
Well, we got a pretty good start. We done a setup change that we thought would work, and it did. We were quite comfortably behind the two in front of us. We're just biding our time, and they got into a bit of a tangle, and that just made it a little bit easier for me.
Capitalise on two guys fighting hard, so that's good.
No, yes, thank you very much, and special thanks to AMRS, my sponsors, Tech Industries, and Formula 3 Management.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Congratulations on third.
Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started with the F3 presentation. Thanks so much once again for you coming along this weekend. It's been fantastic to have you here. It's round 4 of the AMRS here at Sydney Motorsport Park. So we'll start off with the championship trophies. It's for after this round, which has sealed the championship for third in place, Shane Wilson.
Well done, Shane. Congratulations.
Second in place, Josh Buchan.
Well done, Josh. Congratulations, mate. Good on you. Well done. Come on up in there.
And no surprise, who's first in place? John Magro.
Well done, mate. Congratulations. Will I say a few words?
Yeah, massive thanks to the team. You know, the car's been reliable all year, and it's been a rocket every round. So can't thank them enough. Artec Motorsport, AMRS again running an awesome event. All the officials, you know, they're out here all weekend.
Yep.
And to Josh has closed the gap a bit on that last race. It was good, keeping me honest there.
Absolutely.
And just all the competitors. Yeah, been a great weekend.
Good.
Fantastic, John. You're a fantastic competitor, John, a very avid competitor. Jump up on the top there. We'll get some photos of you guys there.
Okay, National Cup, okay. Okay.
I'll give the kids a bit of a go, mate. Otherwise, the other race means you get nothing for trouble, you know.
That's it. Trophies up. Beautiful. Thanks, guys.
Bugger off next.
Well done.
presentation will commence.
Okay. Lastly is the National Cup presentation. Ian, if you can hold one of those cups up for me. So the National Cup, which is, I'll grab that. The Formula 3 Championship, WorldTech Industries National Cup. Third place is, the suspense, I know, is killing you, I'm sure. Jarrett Ruff.
Congratulations, mate. Well done.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you for
Much
the call.
appreciated.
Yeah, come on up here.
Second place is Ryan Astley.
Not far at all. Well done. Congratulations, mate. Well done. Good on you.
And first place, Roman Crummins. about time some people are saying there, Roman. Well done, Roman. Congratulations.
Thank
well
you.
done.
Thank
Can I
you.
say a few words if you can, please?
Yeah, look, it's been a series of mixed fortunes so far. We had a rough start, but we've come together this round. Jarrett had a bit of trouble this weekend, but I admire his achievements. He looks after the car himself, and it's great. I'd like to thank AMRS. I'd like to thank the volunteers, Sydney Motorsport Park, Artec for providing a car for me that keeps working, and Cosmetic Medicine Centre, Dr. Mary Dingley, for her support. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Jump on up on the top of the podium there for us. There you go. You can make it up there, I'm sure. Well done.
Can you hear me? You all right? Thank you all so much for coming for the podium presentation of round 5 of the TA2 Muscle Car Series. Can I please welcome to the stage to present the trophies, Matt, the General Manager of AMRS. Yep. So for this first round of trophies, I just want to ask, if I call your name, can you come to the stage and then just wait up here with us? And then once everyone's done, we'll dismiss you from the podium, okay? So first up, we've got the Bowden's Own Best Presented Award, and that goes to David Falvey. Congratulations. David's won $250 worth of car care products from Bowden's Own.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Fantastic. That's all yours.
I'll have to shimmy up here. Congratulations. And your car represents the Sunoco Camaro, a famous car, doesn't it?
Yes, it does indeed.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations. And next up, we've got the PWR Pole Award, which is $500 in cash, goes to Aaron Seaton of Carroll Hastrel Racing Mustang. And on behalf of Aaron, Glenn Seaton is going to be collecting the award. Yeah, just move along, sorry, disorganised. And next up, we've got the Hypercoil Hard Charger Award, which is a set of springs from Hypercoil, and that goes to Craig Vanderstelt. He went up 14 positions in race 3 from 29th to 15th. Congratulations, Craig. Congratulations. And next up, we've got the Willwood Big Breaker Award, which is a set of rotors supplied by Willwood, and it goes to Michael Coulter of Quebecer Mustang. He's had his best race result of TA2 with 6 outright. Good on you, Cover. Broke that 7th curse, didn't you?
Finally.
Take a step.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we've got our Rookie of the Round trophy, and that goes to one very deserving, Nathan Hearn of Gulf Western Oils Dodge. Awesome job, Nathan. Can we just one last round of applause for all our award winners? Oh, whoops, sorry. That's it, guys. I'm going to get you to leave the podium. Thank you all so much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up, we've got the Masters Award for the highest placed driver over 50. And in 3rd place, we've got Peter Robinson, the Dodge Challenger. Congratulations, Peter. Congratulations. And in 2nd place, we've got Tom Tritton in the Ford Mustang. Congratulations, Tom. Tim? Oh, sorry. My apologies, Tim. My apologies. Sorry, Tim. It's bad to get the easy one wrong, wasn't I? And in 1st place, we've got Russell Wright from Wright Property Development's Mustang. And Russell, just a few words from yourself about how your day went. Congratulations.
Well,
I've got 2 mics.
Yep, it wasn't the best weekend, although I should be grateful for winning the Masters. That's fantastic, but from an outright point of view, we didn't have the speed this weekend. The car wasn't right, so we tried everything. Had some awfully close racings. In some places, it was a little bit too close. Yeah, got a few scars on the car, but all in up was a good weekend, and looking forward to Queensland Raceway now.
Fantastic. Take your step on the podium. Congratulate our winners. Wonderful. All good? All photos done? No? Okay, cool. Come down. And now we have the top 3 outright in the Performax Cup point score. And in 3rd place, we have George Mediki, the Lubramax Mediki Motorsport Mustang. Congratulations, George. And in second position, we have Nathan Hearn of Gulf Western Oils Dodge. There he is. And in first place with a clean sweep of the weekend with 220 points, the first time in TA2 history, Aaron Seaton in the Castrol Harris Mustang. Again collected by his father, Glenn Seaton. And Glenn, just a few words for yourself about the weekend?
I'd love to.
So I've got two.
Sorry Aaron couldn't be here, but he's actually got summons to be with DGR tomorrow at Penske to do their test day. So he's hoping to have a drive, but I don't know if that'll happen because he works for them full time. But he's so proud to be a part of this series. It's unbelievable. Like, I've been involved in motorsport for a lot of years, and the welcoming that everybody gives everybody in the category and the enjoyment to be a part of the category is awesome. Pete, fantastic job for bringing this category to Australia and bringing the cars through. To everybody that puts in behind the scenes, Craig Denyer, also Bob Riley, all the people that make this this series really what it is. Thank you. Even right down to everybody. It's even AMRS do a fantastic job. So this has got a huge future, this category, and it's fantastic to have my son a part of it, and also to me be a part of it. So thank you everybody for all your hospitality, all your welcomings you give us. Jeff Leeds, thank you very much for all your driver standing stuff that you do, really keeping it clean. So it's really great. So thank you.
Congratulations.